The View co-host Sunny Hostin's husband, Emmanuel Hostin, has been accused of federal insurance fraud.
Sunny Hostin, her husband accused of committing federal insurance fraud in a...
Oh, so when it's about others, it's deception. But when it's about you, there's always a justification? What kind of hypocrisy is this? It's fascinating how some people create rules that only seem to apply to others while conveniently exempting themselves. But that's not all. Sunny Hostin didn't just stop at accusing Nikki Haley of hiding her identity. She took it a step further, labeling her a chameleon, someone who changes their identity just to seek acceptance. But isn't this the very definition of double standards? If changing or adapting one's name for personal or professional reasons is deceitful, then shouldn't the same logic apply to everyone, including Sunny Hostin herself? Or is it just easier to judge others while ignoring one's own contradictions?
Just real quick, as the Nikki Haley conversation came up. So Nikki Haley's gone by Nikki since she was a child. It's documented in high school. I wouldn't be shocked that as somebody, an Indian woman growing up in South Carolina at that time, she actually did to avoid prejudice. So I just want to be careful about critiquing.
But here's the reality. Nikki Haley has been known by the name Nikki since childhood. This isn't some newly invented alias, nor is it a fake persona crafted for political convenience. It's the name she has always identified with, the name her family and friends have called her for years. Yet, despite this undeniable fact, Sunny Hostin chose to paint it as some sort of deception, twisting a simple personal choice into a baseless accusation. Such claims don't just show a lack of understanding, they reveal a deeper sense of small-mindedness and an eagerness to push a misleading narrative. And when Sunny was confronted with this fact, did she reconsider her stance? Did she acknowledge the truth? Of course not. Instead, she did what people with double standards always do. She stuck to her narrative, dismissed opposing views, and refused to listen to anyone who challenged her claim. This isn't just bias, it's a refusal to accept facts that don't fit a preferred storyline.
Decide not to embrace our ethnicity so that we can pass.
Sunny, I don't think that's fair.
You go by a different name.
Yeah, I didn't want to be the one to say it.
Most Americans can't pronounce Asuncion because of the undereducation.
I think hard to say too. I don't blame her.
But sometimes I would say what Alyssa's saying is that people gravitate to names for different reasons.
No, I'm just going to kill this conversation.
Oh, so when it's about Sunny, the issue isn't hypocrisy. It's just that people are uneducated and don't understand her situation. But when it's about Nikki Haley, suddenly it's a case of hiding her identity and being deceptive. The double standard couldn't be more obvious. It's as if the same rules don't apply when the person in question is someone they disagree with. This selective outrage isn't about principles, it's about pushing an agenda, and it doesn't stop here. The View is no longer just a talk show meant to entertain audiences with lively discussions. It has transformed into a platform where certain narratives are carefully crafted and reinforced. Whenever a conservative or right-wing figure is mentioned, the pattern is the same. Their identity is questioned, their credibility is undermined, and their integrity is put on trial. But when the same standards are applied to liberal voices, suddenly there are excuses, justifications, and emotional defenses. At what point does this stop being a debate and start becoming blatant propaganda?
Largest RICO case ever filed in the state of New York. You guys wrap that around your brain. That's bigger than the mafia.
But when it comes to these liberal hosts themselves, their double standards remain conveniently hidden. They are quick to call out others, label them as deceptive, and question their motives. Yet when the same scrutiny is applied to them, suddenly, the rules change. Isn't this the very definition of hypocrisy? How can someone preach fairness and honesty while practicing the exact opposite? This selective outrage isn't about truth. It's about control, about shaping the narrative in a way that suits their own agenda. And this isn't the first time this has happened. Sunny Hostin has a history of making bold claims without solid evidence to back them up. A prime example of this was during a discussion on immigration when she suddenly shifted focus to the so-called Canadian border crisis. But there was just one problem. She had no facts, no real data, just empty rhetoric designed to stir emotions. Instead of presenting an informed argument, she relied on exaggeration and fear-mongering, proving once again that facts take a back seat when the goal is to push a certain narrative.
We haven't seen her, and her description of Donald Trump doesn't track with the reality of what we've seen. And I can't relate to the marriage or if they're even in the same place at the same time. So I don't think that.
Wait, which Canada is she talking about? The same Canada where people can't even cross the border without a proper visa and passport? The one where immigration laws are strict and regulated, yet she's calling individuals illegal immigrants without understanding the context? It's astonishing how Sunny Hostin made such a claim without doing any research or fact-checking, just to push a narrative. Instead of providing factual information, she relied on sensationalized rhetoric. And when her co-host corrected her, rather than acknowledging her mistake, she became defensive, almost like a child caught in a lie. Instead of learning from the correction, she dug in her heels, refusing to admit her error and perpetuating misinformation.
Wow. I'm a little bit in shock. I just always thought of myself as Puerto Rican, half Puerto Rican. I didn't think I was, my family was originally from Spain and slaveholders.
Oh, Sunny, when it's your turn, interruptions are unfair. But when you interrupt others, it's justified. Things got so heated on the show that even the producer had to step in.
Does not look well when your name ends up with 200 people in a RICO investigation. This is the biggest investigation since Giuliani shook the tree and a bunch of mobsters fell out, right? This is big stuff. And so, and thank you for bringing that video. It sure is ironic.
When a TV show host gets so emotional that they forget professionalism, can they really be part of a serious discussion? The role of a host is not just to express their opinions, but to facilitate a balanced, informed conversation. Once emotions take over and logic is thrown aside, it becomes clear that the discussion is no longer about truth, but about personal biases and agendas. A host is meant to lead with a level of objectivity and composure, guiding the conversation, not allowing their emotions to dictate the flow. So when they lose their cool and react defensively instead of addressing facts, it raises a serious question. Can such a person contribute meaningfully to a productive, respectful dialogue, or are they just contributing to the noise?
Was from Sunny Hostin. Sounds like a town. We're in Sunny Hostin. She was on PBS's Finding Your Roots, a show dedicated to researching celebrity ancestry. For context, Sunny is a staunch supporter of reparations and has made a fortune spewing nonsense about white privilege.
And Whoopi Goldberg? She literally fell asleep during the discussion. The debate became so dull and one-sided that even the hosts lost interest in what was supposed to be an engaging conversation. It's almost as if the discussion itself lacked the substance to keep them awake, which speaks volumes about the quality of the dialogue being presented. This isn't just a TV segment meant to inform or entertain, it's a narrative-setting technique at work. It's a strategy where only the stories that align with their predetermined agenda are considered true, while any opposing views are ignored or silenced. This is no longer about a balanced exchange of ideas. It's about controlling the conversation to fit a specific narrative. It's a tactic that stifles debate and shuts down the opportunity for any meaningful discussion.
You're married. Tom, you're married. If your husband's doing something, if he's allegedly doing something like this, you guys would know if your wives were up.
And this isn't just about Sunny Hostin. This is part of a much larger media machinery, one that deliberately promotes only one side of the story while making a mockery of the other. It's a strategy that paints an incomplete picture, selectively, choosing what to highlight and what to silence. If you want to truly understand the depths of hypocrisy and media bias, you need to watch and analyze this closely. Because what they show you isn't the whole truth. It's just one side of the picture, carefully curated to fit their agenda. And when the truth starts to emerge, what happens? They simply go into silent mode, like Sunny Hostin, dismissing any facts or viewpoints that challenge their narrative. It's a classic tactic to avoid accountability, leaving viewers to question whether they're getting the full story or just a manipulated version of it.
The documents, he knowingly provided fraudulent medical and other healthcare services, including arthroscopic surgery.
Sunny Hostin is a personality who never misses a chance to point fingers at others, always quick to call out what she perceives as deception or dishonesty. But when it comes to her own actions, the standards suddenly shift. The same scrutiny she applies to others seems to vanish when the spotlight turns on her. On The View, she openly accused Nikki Haley of hiding her real identity, criticizing her for not using her original name. But does this rule apply only to others? Because if we take a closer look, what is Sunny Hostin's real name? Asuncion Cummings Hostin. The irony is hard to miss. While she questions others' choices, she conveniently ignores the fact that she has done the exact same thing.